Good evening, Chicago. It's Blues Fest weekend in the Windy City. I'm your host, Jerry Vasilatos, and we have some breaking news pre-show shared with me by my colleague and good friend here, Mr. Ed Heller. Hey, Ed.
We're on a mission from God.
We are on a mission from God.
Or at least the blues mission.
Absolutely.
One of those missions.
I thought you were actually down at Blues Fest when I was chatting with you in the Slack, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to have to host myself tonight.
Yeah, I always want to go to Blues Fest when it happens. Before we hit the breaking news, some of you may not be aware, Blues Fest started last night, and it goes through Sunday in Chicago, and it's totally free. If you're in the Chicago area, head out to, where the heck are they having it? Grand Park?
I think it's
Millennium Park?
Yeah, Millennium Park, Pritzker Pavilion
area. Yeah, Pritzker Pavilion. I think they actually got a couple different stages, but one of them's been live streaming from the Chicago D-Case channel. You guys can always check that out after the show. I think they even have yesterday's show on stream. From yesterday was pretty good. You had Shamika Copeland last night. But back to the Chicago Corner breaking news with Jerry Vasilatos.
And what is the breaking news? Boom! Boom! Our beloved Kim Foxx, State's Attorney Kim Foxx, it has been reported by WGN9 that police officers were called to Kim Foxx's home for a report of domestic abuse out of Flossmoor, Illinois. I didn't know she lived in Flossmoor. Police in South Suburban Flossmoor were called to the home of Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx earlier this month. This is a month old. And I'm sure, like Paul Pelosi's drunk driving charge in California, we're never going to see the booking photo from Kim Foxx since this happened a month ago.
If there was a booking photo.
Well,
we don't really know.
Let's speculate as we read the article when the police showed up. Okay, so it was early this month after a domestic dispute between her and her husband allegedly turned physical. Now, Fox's husband called 911 shortly after 10 p.m. on June 4th. She's a big lady, so I'm sure if she's going to throw a punch, anybody on the receiving end would probably be, I don't know, I guess, here we go again. Here goes my Alzheimer's, my old timers, would be inspired to call 911. So her husband called 911 shortly after 10 p.m. on June 4th.
You're going to love this part.
Okay. According to records from Flossmoor Police obtained by WGN through the Freedom of Information Act, because the news couldn't report on that. They had to request it through the Freedom of Information Act to protect her and whatever happened. Fox's husband explained that Kimberly got mad about something that was posted on Facebook that he did. One of the responding officers wrote in a report.
Something he posted on Facebook, everybody.
God, if only Mark Zuckerberg had censored him the way he censors everybody else, this may not have ever happened, but who knows what he posted. We'll get to that. Kimberly asked him to leave, and he refused. Fox's husband said that's when she grabbed him by the collar and threw down a video game controller he was holding, according to police records. He went on to tell police that Foxx slapped him on the left cheek. However, Foxx told another officer that she did put hands on her husband, but it was only to help guide him out of the house. She never slapped him. This sounds like shades of Amber Turd. Kimberly expressed that she felt her husband called the police only to hurt her, an officer wrote. One of their daughters, age 19, was home at the time, but told police she heard only yelling. A responding officer wrote that they did not see any evidence to support an arrest in this incident. Okay, no booking photo then. Now, breaking this down, I don't think her husband is stupid enough to call 911 to hurt her. He knows what the stakes are. We all know what the stakes are. A slap can potentially escalate into blows. And I'm sure in this era of Me Too, any man that gets slapped or hit by a woman is not going to punch back, because you know how the tables will turn on what the narrative is. He probably called 911 to de-escalate the situation. My speculation is on that. So
yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic these two have, and they've been together for quite some time. In fact, we had just a slightly different take from NBC5 Chicago. It's mostly the same information, but
please share.
Here we're at, it's like, they were reporting a domestic dispute, and here it got mad about something that was posted on Facebook that he did. Okay. Number one question I want to know is, what did he post on Facebook? And then it says, at that point, Kimberly became physical when she asked him to leave, and he refused. So she blocked him from leaving the bathroom, he said. Wow. She grabbed his collar and threw down his video game controller. Okay, another question. What game was he playing?
I bet it was Grand Theft Auto. I bet it was GTA.
Does he do MMOs? Does he have a Twitch channel? You know, I think Kit Cabello would have been happy to have talked about this one this evening, since, you know, you guys can catch Kit on the Chicago Plays Twitch channel.
I'm loving the live chat. Her husband hid the key to the fridge again. She throws some salt in front of her husband before she waded in.
The officer wrote that while Kelly explained what happened, Kimberly, which is what they've been calling her through the entire police report, said all that is true. Kelly told police Kimberly slapped him and indicated he was slapped on his left cheek, documents stated. The officer used his flashlight to see Kelly's cheek and did not observe any indicators to support his claim of being struck. So it must not have been that hard.
The live chat is getting quite scandalous.
Okay,
he did call him to protect himself. He knows better. Because look, you call 911 to hurt her if there's any kind of a domestic dispute. He knows that this is going to haunt him forever, or as long as they're married, if they stay married. So I don't think that. I mean, logic to me would dictate that he was worried about it was going to escalate. And in all seriousness here,
then she tried to get the cops to help get him out of the house, while at the same time saying when they asked her whether she felt safe in the home, she says, "I mean, he's not crazy." Like, so in other words,
real quick, I'm sorry, Ed, let me interrupt because there's gold in live chat. What did she slap him with? Our Illinois officials are known to have unusually large body parts that they swing around.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about.
You dicks, what the fuck were you thinking? You make some kind of secret agreement with the Italians. You're out there measuring your dicks.
Oh, that. Yes.
We know the rest.
Yes, that. Okay, so we know she's like, he clearly called the cops just to piss her off, and then and in the end of this story, it says neither person chose to leave their home following the incident. You know, most of the time that there's like a domestic dispute kind of a thing, they don't really give you a choice, do they?
Well, I wonder if because she's a public official. Yeah, so here's what I also sense happened. It probably came through on the police scanners earlier this month, and news desks are monitoring police scanners, or at least they should be. They probably heard this and were waiting for more information, and it got covered up. That's why they had to file for the Freedom of Information Act, because there was damage control. AG says in the chat, if she called, he would have gotten arrested 100%.
Here's NBC5 being funny, where it says NBC5 has reached out to the Cook County Prosecutor's Office for comment, but has yet to hear back. Yeah, guess you know who the Cook County Prosecutor is, right? Okay, just checking. All right, we're done with that screen.
Done with that story. I mean, it is what it is. There's not much more to it, but it's certainly eyebrow raising and a little amusing.
Although we could do a little more speculation on what it was that he posted on Facebook. I
Well,
mean,
someone
if he posted a link to the Chicago Corner broadcast, maybe she's not a fan.
someone had mentioned, Kathy asked if it was her in the nude, and Big Mr. Firebird said shots of her in the nude would need a wide angle lens. Okay, no body shaming. It's kind of funny. We don't want to get canceled like that Washington was it the no was yeah Washington Post reporter, what was his name, Kit was talking about this week. We don't want to get canceled.
Yeah, I don't remember her name or his name.
Bad judgment and humor.
Anyway,
Kathy, true. I'm thinking the daughter was used to hearing yelling.
But there could be any number of politically related things that maybe he posted or clicked a like on, and that might have been somewhat semi-critical or something that she was involved with. Which,
he could have posted a link to a story that a news story or political story that she felt might reflect badly on her being married to him. I mean, it really could have been as innocuous as that.
Yeah, or he might have posted something about I don't know, some Machete related article that we might be talking about.
Speaking of Machete, did you know? Well, you did know because you shared this with me. Much like the asshole who set the Walking Man on fire, who was out on bail, Mr. Machete was on felony bail and received an early discharge last year from a sentence he received for how many other robberies do you think, Ed? 1, 2?
At least half a dozen.
Should be 3. 3 strike rule?
I would say, I don't know. How many can you do before they say you can't have bail no more?
Well, apparently you can do 6 other robberies
6?
and receive an early discharge.
I was kidding about half a dozen.
Nope. And we're wondering why violent crime is on the rise. So, Mr. Machete here. Oh, I should have queued up the Danny Trejo clip, but I forgot about that. The man suspected of robbing 11 people while armed with a machete was on bail for a pending felony case at the time of the crimes and was discharged last year from a sentence he received for another series of robberies after completing just 5 of the 6.5 years a judge gave him, prosecutors said Wednesday. Andre Gonzalez, this good-looking guy over here, notice the throat tattoo, face tattoo. Okay, so
he allegedly has his name tattooed on his face somewhere as well.
I am going to go out on a limb here, Ed, and agree with Mayor Lightfoot's proposal last week regarding violent offenders with just this one caveat. If the violent offender has a tattoo on their face or their name tattooed on their face, throw away the key. They're no good. The guy who set Joseph Cremelis on fire had the face tattoo. That's how they identified him. That's how this asshole got identified. There's something wrong upstairs when you decide you're going to tattoo your throat or your face.
Okay, but we can't be tat shaming on this.
I'm not tat shaming. No. I'm not talking about tat shaming. I'm talking about those individuals who decide to do it on their faces.
I mean, if you're going to tattoo your eyeball, then yeah, maybe something ain't quite right with you. Once again, we have to promote the restoration of the mental health facilities that have been closed throughout the city. Come on, Lori, let's get on that.
I don't know if this is a mental health issue, Ed. Sadly. Well, this is just a bad.
Well, he's got some criminally insane type things going on here, but who knows? I mean, maybe this guy realized he's like, well, I just spent $2,000 on bail. How am I going to get that money back? And then he goes on a crime spree because not so bright.
Anytime I've seen a violent offender's booking photo with the face tattoos, it's usually really bad news. And they've hurt people. So, I'm sorry. I'll take the flack for generalizing. I think
we're already getting pushback right here, Jerry. You see?
That's
Mr. Firebird says. He says all New Zealand Maoris are psychos. No, of course not.
That's cultural, Big Mr. Fireberg, and they're exempt. They're not from Chicago. Okay.
I think some of you realize Jerry's mostly being facetious about this. It's just that he sees a pattern and you can't ignore it, right?
No, you can't. You can't. I see a lot of the violent offenders who really hurt people when you see their booking photos. You know, okay, like I said, I'll take the flack for it. Facial tattoos, throw them away.
Oh, Kathy
Only in Chicago.
Powers. Come on, Kathy.
What?
Come on.
Okay, big Mr. Firebird, I'm not talking about people in other countries of different cultures. I'm talking about assholes like this guy here, who's in Chicago, running around with a machete, and the other asshole who decided, oh, I found this gasoline in a garbage can and I'm angry. I'm going to set this pile of rubbish on fire, knowing damn well there was a human being sleeping underneath it. God, am I sounding like I'm turning into a cranky old man?
Get off my lawn, you young people! Yeah, but seriously though, don't go walking up to people with the machete and tell them to give you your money. You know, it sets a bad precedent there. You know, next, everybody's gonna go walking around mugging people with the machete, and then you don't even have an original thing anymore.
Thank you, Little. I like this comment from Big Mr. Firebird. Mr. Machete probably thinks he's Zorro. Zorro used a fencing sword there. It wasn't a machete, but I take your point. So let's get on with the story, though. I mean, the seriousness of the matter is that he was charged with felony identity theft in Oak Park on April 8th, and a judge allowed him to go home by paying a $2,000 bail bond deposit, Assistant State's Attorney Sean Kelly said. Gonzalez, 35, was still on bond when he allegedly started robbing people while armed with a machete on May 27th. Kelly said police suspect Gonzalez of committing 7 robberies besides the 4 that prosecutors charged him with Wednesday. The investigations into these cases continue, including one from May 27th in which Gonzalez allegedly used the victim's credit card at a liquor store. Surveillance video from the store helped police break the case by providing investigators with images of Gonzalez, his car, and part of its license plate. Kelly continued. You were going to say?
Yeah, we watched that one video from that person's doorbell camera.
Yeah,
where he drove up and then put it in reverse, got out of his car with his machete, walked up. He seemed to just casually walk up and it's like, give me your stuff.
He was trailing that woman, and what was really, really most surreal about it to me, I don't have the video queued up. It was over in a matter of seconds. It was literally 4 or 5 seconds, and you knew he was trailing her because the doorbell camera view out from the house. He pulled up and parked like at the far end of the frame, and then the woman walks into the frame from the other side of the frame. He gets out, accosts her. 4 seconds, get into his car, and he's gone. Those 4 seconds had to be like an eternity to the woman whose purse and money he stole. That moment is just completely suspended in time as fast as it was over with.
Yeah, I guess, someone walks up to you when they got a machete in your hand. I'm sure that takes a couple minutes just to wrap your head around that. And then in the meantime, he's asking you for your purse or your wallet, and you're like, you got a machete? What? I'd be like, dude, you got a machete. Go away. Of course, then I'd probably have one less arm, I'm thinking.
You watching the live chat?
Yeah, Kathy Powers, we definitely want to see a photo of if you get a face tat. But the question is, what are you going to get on there? Is it going to be like a little tattoo of Oreo, the Stream Cat? Chicago Corner logo, maybe?
That would actually be, I think that would be a nice tattoo for Kathy.
Yeah, but then which cheek would she put that on? I'm talking face cheeks. I think.
Where else do we had here?
Oh, we got Lainey in the chat too.
Yeah, welcome, Lainey.
She's here to get up to no good.
We had fun last night on Uncle Warren's live stream on Gen X out of New York over at Extra Bulla. We got to join him. We were also with Tara Reid, who was one of our current president's abuse victims, who's been maligned in the media. Very nice woman. I really was. I felt very privileged to be part of a panel. I mean, wasn't talking about that stuff, but it was cool to meet someone who I've been following in the news. Mr. Machete never met Indiana Jones. That's how Indy would have handled it. Kelly said police suspect Gonzalez of committing 7. Okay, we went through that part. We went through the liquor store, the credit card. That's how they identified him. The first crime that Gonzalez is charged with committing occurred on the 4000th block of West Eddy around 9:15 p.m. on June 3rd. 2 women ages 22 and 52 were walking home from dinner when a man parked his car just ahead of them, got out of the vehicle wielding a machete. One woman froze in her tracks at the side of the way. That's got to be cheap. Can you imagine? Chicago, 21st century, 2022, and some asshole gets out of his car looking like who's the horror character? Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, walking up to the curb without the benefit of hiding his face tattoos with a hockey mask. One woman.
It would have been worse with the hockey mask, I imagine.
Well, this guy's ugly enough to scare people, so. One woman froze in her tracks at the sight of the weapon as the robber ordered her to hand over her purse, Kelly said. So the other woman took the first woman's purse from her arm and gave it to the man. The next night, a similar robbery unfolded on the 3000 block of North Howson. And the night after that, June 5th, a 52-year-old man heard a car door close behind him as he walked on the 3700th block of North Troy. He turned around and was confronted by a man who demanded his money while wielding a machete. The victim threw a pizza he was carrying at the robber. What a waste of good za.
No.
Which caused the offender to lunge at him and swing the machete, Kelly said. Okay. I got to do a short film on this. I
have so many problems with this right now.
Go ahead.
Okay, first, no. You don't throw your pizza. You gently place it down, you put it aside, and you defend the pizza at all costs.
Yes, I agree.
If he's got a machete, you tell him, no, man, that's okay. I got the box cut. I got the party cut already. I don't need help with the slicing. And then you run with the pizza.
The robber stood over him after he lunged at him with the machete after having the pizza thrown at him. I wonder if it hit him. So the robber stood over him with the machete and again ordered him to give up his wallet and money. This time the victim threw his wallet toward the street. The robber picked up the wallet and the pizza and then drove away.
That annoys the hell out of me. He still took the pizza.
Oh my God. Assistant Public Defender Susan Farber said Gonzalez is the father of 4 and works as a mover. I'll tell you what, if I had to hire movers and I saw this guy getting out of the van, I'd move myself. Judge Mary Marubia ordered Gonzalez held without bail on 4 counts of Class X armed robbery. She also held him without bail, finally, for violating the terms of bond in his pending identity theft case. All right, there's more there's more. It goes on and on and on. But again, 6 other robberies and you're out. 6 other robberies and you're out in Cook County.
So strike 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 strikes? Did we change how baseball works?
Ed, gold in the live chat tonight.
I knew this machete would be useful for something as he was cutting up the pizza after.
It had to be a big slice.
Yeah, well, that's really only if the guy had ordered it uncut, and you don't know where he got the pizza from. See, because there's another piece of information we don't have in the story is where did he order the pizza from?
Dude, I used to deliver for Lou Malnati's back when I was in college, and I remember, picking up the deliveries on the counter and taking them out of the kitchen. The chefs really do have like these big pizza cutting machines.
Yeah, the rocker knives, those are awesome. I wish I had one of those.
That's probably what this guy was using his machete like to cut the pizza even more.
Well, yeah, well, sure. I mean, you can you can definitely use that to cut a pizza. There's no doubt. They use machetes at is it agave plantations to cut, because like how like agave plants are kind of like these huge pineapple shaped things with like super sharp needle leaf things, and they take the machetes and then they just cut that stuff off in order to get them into those little whatever they are that they end up processing into agave syrup and then eventually tequila, which is completely off on the adjacent side of this story, but we were talking machetes. And pizza.
Are we having fun tonight?
And but the reality is, for pizza, if you're like ordering a deep dish pizza for delivery, it is best to order it uncut, because then it doesn't leak and make your pizza soggy during the time that they're trying to deliver it to you, and then you can cut it at home.
This is the guy to listen to.
If you have like a home machete to cut your pizza, it's like a pizza machete.
That's the guy to listen to.
That might be a new thing. We should maybe market that, the Chicago Corner Pizza Machete.
He probably sell
that. We can add that to the merch store.
That would be a good idea. He probably threw a square pizza, which is less aerodynamic than a circular one. Could be.
It's very possible.
Yeah, Laney, I am too, because you know what? It's making me hungry.
And speaking of putting machetes in the merch store, Chicago Corner is brought to you by Flavor Improving Mugs. The mugs that improve flavor. Do you have a mug that doesn't improve flavor? Well, what are you doing with that mug when you could have this mug? It is, 20% improvement? Is that what we had on the flavor improving matrix on this mug?
So Heartlands Media, I think, was 10%, and I think we upped it to 20. Please buy it. We've got streaming costs to cover here. We're not getting paid for this show. We do this all for free to entertain all of you. So buy a mug. I don't have mine with mine.
There's a link in the show description below. Also, it's not just mugs. There's T-shirts. There are socks. There's even, there's a Hardlines Media section. There's a Chicago Corner section. We even have an all-new World Perspectives Radio Chicago section that has our little our version of Chance the Snapper in there with the alligators on the stuff. So it's pretty cool.
We don't want to lose any more viewers with the commercial interruptions. Just Oreo says, just buy something from the store, please. Okay. Thank you, Oreo.
And the next story is? The
next story is a serious one. We heard, was it the superintendent of schools, Pedro Gonzalez, last week talking about safety in the schools after that kid had threatened the teacher. He was going to shoot him. And, we're talking about what we're seeing across the nation with school shootings. And I guess this kid wasn't charged. I'm hoping that, he was, they did some mental health assessment. Now comes to us from Blog Club Chicago, from Madison Saavedra, Gage Park. Curry principal promises to add alarms, cameras, and more staff after a student brought a gun to school. This kid got through the doors with it. Curry's principal said school leaders tracked down the student and took the gun within minutes. Very, very lucky that did not escalate. The Southwest Side High School is boosting security. Ed, they didn't have security boosted before. In how many years since Columbine and what we've just been witnessing for the past 2 years with other school shootings?
It's it's super disturbing to me that it's like the norm for people to expect to have like metal detectors or some kind of security system set up in their schools instead of having some kind of preemptive situation that keeps kids from having guns in the first place.
I imagine that more schools have these security checks in place, but this article starts out with they're boosting security after a student brought a gun into the building earlier this week.
Yeah. So business as usual, reactive, right?
About 9:30 a.m. Monday, officers responded to a report of a 15-year-old boy with a gun inside Curie High School, 4959 South Archer Avenue. Police said no one was injured inside the school, and the teen was arrested and charged with a felony, police spokesperson Kelly Bartoli said. Curry called a special local school council meeting Thursday to discuss the incident. Principal Homero Penules said the teen accused of bringing the gun is a student, and another student alerted school leaders about the teen possibly having a weapon. Penules said the school is going to make changes to address community members' concerns about school safety, including installing additional cameras and alarms on doors and trying to staff as many people as possible to guard doors. They don't have the door. They don't have security. Look, even when I was in high school, North Shore, privileged community, they were, and this is before shootings in schools, they'd call them paraprofessionals. They would be, middle-aged people that kind of mixed with the student body throughout the school, kind of keeping an eye on things. They were the closest you can find to a security system, but they would monitor the doors. They would be at the doors, like keeping an eye on things, making sure nothing went down. Now, in this day and age, what are we talking about? Over 30 years later, 36 years later, with all these school shootings, they don't have enough staff to keep an eye on the doors.
Well, and even if they did, kids, if a kid wants to, hide a gun in his pocket or his backpack or whatever, and you don't have anything that's going to be detecting that, they're going to get in. I would rather we have kids who are given the amount of attention they need, whether it's mental health or community support or whatever, to make it not be an option for them, to make them realize that it's not a good idea to be bringing a gun into a school. It should not even cross their minds that that's a good idea ever.
Yeah. Well, some people would say that kind of guidance starts in the home. I would agree. But, when you're in homes with generations of parents who've been probably faced with the same horrible circumstances and home lives that their kids are now stuck in because of these solutions that we're not proactive in solving in our communities, this is the cyclical motion of that kind of neglect.
Yeah. Yeah, and so then you have to you don't have much of a choice but to maybe put some metal detection or gun detection devices at the entrances at the minimum now. Is that what we've come to in these?
The principal said this building was built at a time when safety was not a priority. When is school safety never a priority is surprising to me that he would even parse it that way. But he says it's a huge building, 3,000 students, but we have 40 doors around the school. There are some doors that we know students have come in and out of that they're not supposed to be using. We've moved security around. Penules and CPS officials declined to answer questions about how the teen entered the school with a gun. Students are required to enter Curry through certain doors to go through metal detectors. CPS officials confirmed. So they had metal detectors in the school, and they're required to enter the school. And somehow the kid didn't have to go through those doors to get into the school. This just gets more and more confusing the farther I read into it. I just scanned the top end of the article when I was doing show prep tonight. So Penules said there are logistical problems with staffing all the doors, including not having sufficient security on hand every day. So if you don't have sufficient security on hand every day, you lock the doors that you don't have security for, and you make sure the kids entering in the mornings come through the place where you have security and metal detectors. I'm sorry, am I being too logical about a security plan here? And I'm not even a school principal.
Making sense and being logical, that's not the job of educational people. They just they're just there to, I don't know, be I don't know. Why are they there again?
Dude, it's CPS. I'm always on board and supportive.
Like Chinatown.
Yeah. I'm completely on board in support of the teachers. CPS is just a fucking shit show, and it's a different entity. Penulius and CPS officials declined to answer questions about how the teen entered the school with a gun. Students, okay, we went through that. They're supposed to go through certain doors. But Penulius said there are logistical problems with staffing all the doors, including not having sufficient security on hand every day. He said the school has 15 to 16 security guards, 7 paid by CPS, and the rest paid with the school's budget, but he hopes to hire more people. Curry's school council voted 7-4 to remove school resource officers from the school in 2020. Some community members brought up the possibility about bringing one or more officers back into the building at Thursday's meeting. I'm shocked that they would vote to remove resource officers. Some parents and teachers also said they were frustrated by the lack of clarity as to why the school didn't go on lockdown during the incident. Of course, Penulis didn't address questions brought up about bringing officers to the school, but because it would have been a media frenzy. But he defended the school choice not to put the school into lockdown because officials knew the student who was removed to have a gun and where he was. Penulis said a lockdown would be called in a situation where the danger is unknown or when the school is directed to do so. I guess that kind of makes some sense. It was less than 5 minutes for us to have the student, much less than 5 minutes for us to have the student and the weapon in our position, he said. Next regularly scheduled council meeting is 5 p.m. Tuesday. Wow. Anything to add, Edward?
Well, Laney adds, grim times.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what more can we do at this point? You know, you have to educate the kids to let them know how dangerous guns are and they shouldn't be brought into schools, and you have to find ways to prevent that from being a thing that they actually are motivated to doing. What else can we say?
Ilhanar has a great idea. Let's have real gun laws in America. Oh, wait, I forgot. We live in an oligarchy. So I want to address something really quickly to Lainey and Little. Yeah, Lainey, I did get the pictures, and I was not fast enough with all the stories. I
can show them really quick if you want.
Yeah, if you can do that, because this show is really, really heavy tonight. And it does kind of relate to a story that we have later in the show. So Ed, get those photos for later.
Well, we talk about infrastructure. We can just show them really quick. We got infrastructure things that need to take place. We've talked about that in previous episodes. We talked about our Chicago Corner Manifesto, where we've added that to the list. And so here's a photo Laney took today, one of those pieces of infrastructure. And things are rusting, they're deteriorating, they're falling apart. We got to fix them.
I wanted to save that photo for later for this story, but I'll just bring up this story.
Well, we can bring it back if you like.
I know. We're
sorry, I didn't mean to jump the gun on that.
That's why I said, that's all right. We're fine. But since we're talking about infrastructure, we'll jump forward with this story first as it relates to the photos that Ed just showed. I knew you were going to love this story, Ed.
Yes. Now, some are calling that a pothole. I think further down in the comments for this was a Reddit post. Someone said corrected it to be an actual sinkhole, which, of course, when your car hits it, it doesn't care. It doesn't care if it's a pothole or a sinkhole because you damaged your tire or wheel or whatever. And the truth is, the infrastructure needs to be repaired. The roads, the bridges, the underpasses, all the structures, they need to be reinforced and rebuilt and repaired. And the city has money to start doing that. They don't want to use their money. And apparently they don't have a sense of urgency in the state. Dick Durbin, our senator, doesn't have the sense of urgency to push Congress to get a much larger infrastructure bill passed, because it's not just Chicago, it's cities all over the country that need vital infrastructure repair. On the local end, we need Lori Lightfoot to fix the potholes, repair the sinkholes, replace the lead water pipes, all that stuff that you've got money for, and for some reason you're choosing not to do anything about it unless it serves your political needs, which seems to be the only time you show that you care about anything. You just put out your little political ad saying you're running for re-election, talking about all the things you've done. Did you really do those things?
And making excuses for the fact people don't like the way you say things, as if that's the way to carry yourself as the leader of the city.
It's not about it really isn't about your attitude or your personality or your identity.
But
it's about
But the attitude, though, Ed, I would argue, the attitude and patience and willingness to talk to people and not lord over everyone else is an essential element of good leadership. And she doesn't.
Fair enough. But
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. Yeah, it's in the scheme of things, but it does help, and it would buy her some goodwill with residents if they. But because she's not authentic, well, she is authentic. She has shown who she really is, and who she really is doesn't give a shit about these things. It's all about, what do I have to do now to win re-election?
Yeah, and the answer to that, of course, is do all the things you said you were going to do when you ran for mayor the first time and didn't do.
Yeah. Someone over on Reddit,
the potholes is a good start.
Someone over on Reddit said, "This is nothing. Someone stuck a city trash can inside a hole on Sacramento Avenue last winter." Someone else came to say this will probably require a more extensive repair than just patching and moving on, because otherwise the problem under the street causing the sinkhole will just continue. Yeah. And friend of the show, let me see if I can find this. Where is it? Here we go. I love this. Looks like the whole Nazi Pinto station wagon made. Yeah, it looks like the Nazi Pinto station wagon made in when it fell through the sky in the Blues Brothers.
Illinois Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis.
Yeah, it was the same color, wasn't it? That cone is the same color as that station wagon, kind of.
Yeah. All right, well, let me move on to our next story since we kind of got ahead of ourselves. In more serious local news, give me a moment to just get my screens back.
Really quick, just to back up half a step.
Yeah.
AG says Lightfoot just put a curfew on pizza delivery to reduce pizza violence. So I thought that was an important update.
Well, given the fact that pizza can be used as a defensive weapon to throw at people with machetes, why would she do something like that? She's not thinking.
Well, she's got double bean on the brain, I think.
All right, so another sad story.
Yeah, that was a sad one.
And the thing about this story is that we're not just reporting on what happened. Apparently, residents in this community were concerned about this happening before it happened, or the potential for this type of a tragedy to happen. So, 3-year-old girl was killed after a bike crash involving a semi-truck and a ComEd truck blocking bike lanes in Uptown. I can't imagine trying to navigate between that ComEd truck and the moving delivery semi-truck. Whatever that is, it's very disorienting, a neighbor said. This comes to us by Joe Ward and Colin Boyle. A woman was riding a bike with the toddler in a seat on the back of the bike, police said. About 8 a.m., the two were riding in the 1100th block of West Leland Avenue when the bicyclist and the driver of a semi-truck going in the same direction crashed, police said, citing preliminary information. The girl's mother was, quote-unquote, crowded between a ComEd truck blocking a bike lane and the semi-truck, the Sun-Times reported, citing a police report. The mother and toddler were then clipped by the truck, the paper reports. The toddler was taken to Lurie Children's Hospital where she was pronounced dead. The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified her as Elizabeth Grace Shambrook. No other injuries were reported, police said. An investigation was ongoing. After the crash, a damaged bicycle could be seen in the street near a large ComEd truck, which was parked in a bike lane on the corner of Leland and Winthrop Avenues, an upside down children's seat was a few feet away near a semi truck. All right, I want to editorialize something here because we've talked about the bike lanes in the past. We need to like open up the fucking sidewalks for bicycles. And I'll tell you why. When I drive throughout the city through most of these neighborhoods, Ed, I don't see a whole lot of pedestrians on the sidewalks. And there is space for a bicyclist to responsibly navigate on a sidewalk at a low speed when our streets are already crammed so narrow as it is, that I think has a lot to do with these accidents happening. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that one because people are very pro bike lane, but when you know that there are motorized vehicles going at high speeds that are heavy vehicles, and you've got someone on a little bicycle trying to navigate between them, and you've got sidewalks that are not as heavily populated against the streets, I think, again, logically, this could have been worked out better than throwing bike lanes all over the city where they have to compete with traffic, where I know that there are a lot of negligent motorists, but there are a lot of careful motorists. And this has to do with the fact that a ComEd truck had to park in a bike lane and another truck was going down the street. There's no room on the street for a bicyclist to compete against big vehicles like this.
No, it gets a little complicated, you know. I mean, I wouldn't want to make it a default that bicyclists use the sidewalks.
Not a default. Not a default. Maybe an option.
As an option, you know, if they have, I mean,
for doing it, don't penalize them for saying this street here isn't safe. There's too much congestion. Maybe I ought to divert to the sidewalk where I can, you know. And here's the other thing, Ed. I'm sorry, don't interrupt you, but It seems like bicyclists have all the rights. Why not put an onus of responsibility on bicyclists to use the sidewalks and with their bicycles that are not as dangerous as a vehicle, and put the onus on them to navigate carefully amongst pedestrians when and where they see them as an option, not as the cure-all. But when you've got these congested streets that are already so narrow and you're trying to navigate this, they shouldn't tell bicyclists you're not allowed on sidewalks, especially on long stretches like Pulaski. You can take Pulaski from, I don't know, like Peterson all the way down through Foster Avenue. And it's just a long stretch of cemeteries, and there's no one on those sidewalks. And you know what? There's bike lanes.
Yeah, I think I'm not as familiar with the biker restrictions as to what they can and can't do. But if you're saying they're restricted, I think bicyclists
are not allowed to go on sidewalks. I think that
they're not supposed to, as a general rule, just because. I mean, and just this is going back decades, just from the basic rules of the road stuff, is that bicyclists were supposed to be treated or following traffic rules the same way that cars and vehicles were. I know that some of that has changed, or at least there's a bit of a leniency as far as those what do they call them, the Iowa stop or the Idaho stop or whatever, where they roll through the.
I'm looking at it right now.
So I think somewhere further down in this article they talk about how it's
let me continue.
There's no easy fix for this. It's because you're going to have trucks that have to stop like they do in this situation, and you're going to have and it comes down to, did the other truck have checking? Was they checking their mirrors? Did they have the beeping going on? Was it could been a combination of issues that caused this accident, and it just feels like you don't want to fault the biker because
I'm not faulting
typically
the biker. It's not her fault. This is not her fault. But when you make the sidewalks illegal and not an option, and you have a woman on a bicycle,
it makes it more difficult to make a good decision in navigation. Sure, for sure.
That's what I'm saying. And sadly, I see as many asshole bicyclists as I see asshole motorists. So nobody's innocent there. But there are those bicyclists who are trying to follow the rules, be safe as much as there are motorists trying to do the same thing. And when you throw bike lanes into traffic lanes, where it's almost sometimes hard to see bicyclists, as opposed to saying, you know what, if you're a bicyclist, you have the option of going on the sidewalk, and there are rules for you there too, as much as we only enforce the rules on motorists on the roads that are supposed to give full, or I guess they're supposed to give full deference to bicyclists. There's got to be some balance, and I think there could be. I just don't think that they want to figure it out. That's just my personal speculation. I could be wrong, but with everything other fucked up law and ordinance and things that are law enforcement or city officials don't do and react to after a tragedy like this, I'm gonna guess that, until it gets to be more of a problem, Ed, they're not going to really focus on, maybe we should figure out how to make sidewalks an option where a street is really, really congested for bicyclists when they've got these big vehicles going down them, even though they're right there.
Yeah, I mean, the real solution is to completely overhaul the transportation system in the city, but they're not going to do that. They're barely even angling into fixing potholes and existing structures in the stuff that exists. So,
and we've lost.
What can we do?
And we've lost an innocent 3-year-old to this. Neighbor Loretta Malone said she was eating breakfast nearby when the crash happened. She didn't see the crash, but she heard a truck stop and screaming. Looking outside, she saw the child in the car seat in the truck, she said. She called 911. Every parent in America right now understands the feeling of walking a tightrope between not wanting to traumatize your child for something that you can't control and wanting to protect them from everything possible, Malone said. And you can't control it. But who wouldn't do anything to save their child? Malone said officials have been doing work on the street, but Thursday was the first time she'd seen the ComEd truck that blocked the bike lane and the stop sign. The crash did not involve the ComEd truck, according to a statement from the company, though it was in the bike lane. And let's once again go to that main picture. You can see what was going on there. Though it was in the bike lane when Block Club Chicago reporters arrived on the scene. I can't imagine having cycled for many years myself in Chicago. I can't imagine trying to navigate between that ComEd truck and the moving delivery semi-truck, whatever that is. Very disorienting, Malone said. This is the second child to be killed in a crash recently in Chicago. Last week, a driver hit and killed 2-year-old Rafael Cardenas while the boy was in a Lincoln Square crosswalk. Malone said she's not sure what could be done to make Chicago streets safer, but the solutions will have to come from all angles. Cyclists have to be informed and safe. And then, drivers have to see us, Malone said. I don't know that there's no easy solution when you've got narrow streets that are already congested and you throw a bike lane in there.
Yeah, I mean, Kathy Powers says, where were the orange cones around the ComEd truck?
Flag person there too.
And of course, we don't know if that would have made it worse. How narrow are you going to make the roads when you're adding cones on top of that? But yeah, should definitely have been somebody either from ComEd or from that other truck be looking out for people, especially if you're backing and returning into an area where there's congestion like this.
Dominic shares, when a bike lane is blocked, bikers should be able to walk their bikes on the sidewalks to navigate around the obstacle. Agreed. Yeah. Sometimes when you're bicycling at a certain speed and suddenly something pops up in front of you, I think this was just a freak moment where that truck pulled in while she didn't have any room to maneuver or even think it through. I think that's what happened. This shit sucks. I'm sorry for the families and for the driver. Nobody wants to run over a kid. Yeah. Well, let me get to the next part of this story, though. In that, after the semi-truck killed the 3-year-old in Uptown, neighbors say the intersection has long been a recipe for disaster. So this isn't a surprise. Look at that picture there. That's what we're looking at. There's that bike lane. Now, imagine instead of a car, you've got the ComEd truck taking up that spot. Semi-truck drivers routinely use residential side streets in Uptown. Well, maybe that's also part of the problem is that, well, I don't know if it's part of the problem or not. If you've got a moving truck on a residential street, you can't avoid that. They long feared it would lead to disaster. The death of the 3-year-old girl on the back of her mom's bike in Uptown has devastated neighbors and cycling advocates who said drivers of semi-trucks like the one that hit the child shouldn't be using their streets in the first place. That's not practical at all. You want to move into those buildings, residents in the neighborhood? What, are you going to fill up your little pickup truck and move your stuff in there? You're going to cram a moving truck into an alley and then completely shut down the artery both ways for anybody trying to get out of their garages? This is entitlement ridiculousness that they say that the trucks should not go down their streets. This can't be avoided, that artery like that, as this photo shows, in my opinion. And I know I've got very strong opinions, and I'm sorry if people disagree with them. But again, it's like I tend to be a problem solver, and it's like, okay, let's look at this from every angle. You can't prevent semi-trucks like this one from going down this street, for example, if someone is moving into a property. Nor can you prevent a truck like the ComEd truck from parking in this area if they're doing work with this little tiny bike lane in the middle. Again, stop making it illegal for bicyclists to go on the sidewalks. That just seems to be like a simple possibility option. So the article goes on to say that the group approached an illegally parked ComEd truck, quote unquote, illegally parked, and the mother and child continued east between the semi and ComEd truck, the report states. As the semi began to move forward, the mother became startled, overcorrected her bike, and hit the step of the semi truck, causing her to lose balance and fall, the police said. While wearing a bike helmet, Elizabeth Grace became trapped under the rear wheel of the semi truck and was rolled over by its tires. She was taken to Lurie Children's Hospital and pronounced dead. Now, the driver of the parked ComEd truck was issued 2 tickets for parking in a bicycle lane and parking within 30 feet of a stop sign, according to police. I'm no fan of ComEd, but if they've got work to do, yeah, they should have put out the cones, but where else were they supposed to park? ComEd was issued a permit by the Chicago Department of Transportation to perform work in the area. However, our investigation into the accident is ongoing, ComEd spokesperson John Schoen said. The truck driver who hit the child does not appear to have been issued any tickets. Semi-trucks are prohibited from using Lakeshore Drive, so trucks routinely use side streets throughout Uptown, neighbors said. Wes Griffith has lived on Leland Avenue within the block of the crash for 4 years and said he and his neighbors have all seen this coming. We all knew there was going to be an accident here at some point, he said. You have all the cars that are parked on the curb, and then people park next to those cars, and you're trying to navigate cars going opposite directions through half the road. Nobody can see. People aren't paying attention. You got parents loading their kids into the car as people come around the vehicle. It just doesn't make any sense. Guys, look at how wide that sidewalk is back there. Nobody can see. People aren't paying attention. At the scene, a reporter saw the driver of a car transportation truck approach the intersection where the crash occurred on Winthrop and struggled to clear a right-hand turn onto Leland. The driver ran over a cone placed in the bike lane by authorities to indicate where the ComEd truck had been parked. So there was a cone. Another neighbor, Heather Willett, said staff from the Christopher House, a preschool at the northeast corner of the crash site at 4701 North Winthrop, all ran out during the aftermath of the crash. Willett said she and Griffith came back out to the crash site in the afternoon to try to help direct traffic around the semi-truck until it could be towed. It's a recipe for disaster 2.0, Griffith said. How traumatic is it for the Christopher House students who watched a kid get hit by a truck and it's just going to sit there as they're trying to walk out? Willett said Griffith called the alderman's office, and this is Alderman Krappelman's ward, a couple years ago and tried to see if we could stop semis from coming down this street. Every morning you hear semis going up and down this street, Willett said. Officials told Griffith Leland would have to be turned into a boulevard to stop semis from using it. And for some reason, they can't do that, Willett said. In Chicago, commercial vehicles cannot be driven on boulevards, like Lakeshore Drive. I don't think I've ever lived on a boulevard, and I've never had semi-trucks just going up and down a residential street, Willett said. We're right in front of a school. There are residents out and about all the time. The tragedy has galvanized neighbors to speak out about other issues at the intersection. Talking ourselves blue in the face, Ed. Something needs to be done about this because people are blowing it every single day, neighbor Nicole Feuerbach said. Within seconds of seeing the aftermath, she called Alderman James Krappelman's 46th office to get paperwork to start a petition to add speed bumps on Leland.
Speed bumps. Okay.
Here we go.
We got a comment from AG says you can't have bike lanes on streets like that, either bike lane or no parking. It's a good idea.
Sidewalks.
And to that point, Eleanor says draw a bike lane on the sidewalk, problem solved.
That would be too logical, Eleanor.
If they're super wide sidewalks, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer, What are you gonna do?
Laney shares, this is the second child to die in traffic accidents within a short period of time here. Yeah. It is very sad news. Well, look, that's that bit of news. I guess we're just going to have to sit back and wait for solutions, right? Wait for somebody to like wake up and realize maybe we should listen to the people in this community. Maybe we should, I don't know, widen or put the bike lanes on the sidewalks. Maybe we should get rid of. I don't know.
Yeah, we might need to add that to our pledge
manifesto.
Yeah, about I don't know, what do we call that? Bicycle lane.
Bicycle lane, sidewalk, bicycle lane option. How about that?
Yeah, let me see if I can
option.
find that.
And you know what? You can make judgment calls neighborhood to neighborhood, I think.
Yeah. I can open that.
I can see my videos getting a little bit choppy, hopefully. I mean, I'm closing windows as I'm reading stories. So I'm hoping that my stream doesn't suddenly turn to gravy at some point.
Okay, where do we add that? Yeah, and I think in the transportation infrastructure place, probably.
Yeah.
Bicycle lane options or new bicycle lane options.
Dominic adds to the chat, if neighbors report safety problems and they are not solved by our politicians, the politicians need to be replaced. Yes. I'd go one further, Dominic. And you know what I like to say, torches, pitchforks, guillotines. When? Ha 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 ha. No, I'm just kidding. Am I?
New bicycle lane options to improve safety. I'll just put that in there and I'll just put it in bold for now. Okay. So we've added that to our Chicago Corner Manifesto 2023 Chicago Mayoral Pledge to the City, also known as the North to South and East to West Pledge. And
we're making our list, checking it twice. 3 times.
And if you would like to have a closer gander at that list, I think this link will work. And I'm posting in the chat there, so you guys should be able to view it. Hopefully,
looks good.
Did that link?
Clear in the chat, everybody.
Yes. Okay, it's working. Just open it in an incognito window just to see if other people are able to view. So, like we said, this is a draft. It's a work in progress, and we need your help. So if you have ideas on what we can do, basically our wish list for the whoever the next mayor is going to be, make sure that they support citizens, everybody, not just their little clique, not just their little business buddies, everybody, north to south, east to west, all the citizens. We're fixing potholes, to providing, public transportation for everybody, to community services. We got to restore and expand some of those things. We'll maybe ending qualified immunity and doing some other revisions to public safety, because whatever's going on now isn't working. So
Agreed.
Let's fix that. Let's make sure that the next person who's going to be our mayor, and it sure as heck ain't going to be Lori Lightfoot.
And I haven't
have anything to say about it.
And we're going to get to Lori in a few minutes after we cover the rest of these stories. That's coming up.
Yeah, so we want to make sure whoever the next mayor is.
I don't think I know. I have it on good authority that there's going to be a reckoning this Tuesday as far as the mayoral race, but that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. All right. Chicago streets are like turning into an LA cop action movie or disaster. Or this story reminds me of the Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock movie Speed. Whoa. So, a man detonated an explosive device while riding the Pink Line, prosecutors say. A West Side man, this good-looking male model here, detonated an explosive device while riding a Pink Line train near Kedzie on Sunday evening, causing hearing damage to 3 passengers and suffering severe injuries to one of his hands, prosecutors said Wednesday. Eric Flores, 24, is charged with possession of an explosive device and aggravated arson. He remains hospitalized and is scheduled to undergo a 3rd surgery on his hand. Flores boarded a westbound Pink Line train around 8:30 p.m. while carrying a beer and rolling his scooter. Assistant State's Attorney Sean Kelly said, after parking his scooter, at least he was polite about it. Flores repeatedly warned other passengers that they had until the Cicero station to exit the train, or he would blow it up. According to Kelly.
This is like a movie blockbuster plot opening. It's
when
crazy.
A passenger approached Flores and tried to calm him down, Flores took out a lighter and detonated an explosive device that he was holding in his right hand, Kelly continued. The explosion was so powerful it punctured several holes in the ceiling of the rear train car. Where's Bruce Willis when you need him?
Where's the video? Where's the surveillance video of this?
Yeah, I didn't see any in the article.
How do we get?
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah, that's the hole in the ceiling of the. No, I mean, CTA surveillance cameras recorded it. They said, which means that they have the video. Can we do a FOIA on that? Somebody out there, a lawyer, know how to do a Freedom of Information request for that video footage?
We'll do a follow-up if it's forthcoming.
Or is anyone able to find that footage? There's a possibility it may have ended up on the interweb somewhere.
Yeah,
not by our doing, but you know.
Do you remember when they tried to hide the footage of the blue line that jumped the tracks out at O'Hare Airport? They didn't want to. That looked like something out of like Die Hard 3 or Silver Streak, when the motorman or the motorwoman fell asleep and it like literally jumped onto the platform and came up the stairs. They were trying really hard to suppress that video, and I think somebody internally decided to leak it. I actually got flagged on Facebook when I released that video because I guess you're not supposed to share breaking news videos like that on Facebook. But yeah, there's got to be video here forthcoming.
Oh, and I don't know if you're going to be reading any more of this, but it gets better.
Yeah, no, I'm going to. Yeah. So it punctured several holes in the ceiling of the train car. And as we said, CTA surveillance cameras recorded the incident. Police also recovered a second device, which Kelly described an 8-inch by 1-inch tube with no manufacturing marks. Kelly said Flores told police he knew people were on the train when he lit a firework with a lighter. Flores was... Here we go again. Flores was free on a... Does this guy have a face tattoo? I don't see one.
Doesn't look like he does.
Flores was free on...
Is there something on his neck there, though?
Is there? I can't
on the
see.
Left side? Is that a tattoo?
I'm not sure.
No.
So Flores was free on a $250 bail bond at the time of the incidents for a felony cannabis charge. In that case, police said they found 182 grams of cannabis in Flores's car during a traffic stop on April 11th. Can we start legalizing weed? Please? Please don't. Maybe. I don't know what his motive was in deciding to try to blow up the train.
No, well, maybe it was that they took his 182 grams of cannabis away, and maybe he needed that to chill the F out. I'm just saying.
One can only speculate.
How do we know he would have even done any of this if he'd just been chilling at home with his bag of Funyuns?
In 2019, Flores received a 2-year sentence. Well, no, this guy is in more trouble than the 183 grams of cannabis, Ed. In 2019, Flores received a 2-year sentence for concealing a death or moving a body. Concealing a death. In July of 2018, Flores wrapped his dead friend's body with garbage bags and placed it in a garage until it was discovered after spending 2 weeks in the summertime heat. Mental health clinics.
All right. Yeah, that's not great. I mean, although they say concealing a death doesn't mean he caused it, but still,
It certainly shows that there's some mental
a,
health issues there.
yeah, at the very least, a lack of good judgment.
In this instance, Judge Mary Marubio ordered Flores held without bail. You think?
No kidding. Yeah, he blew a hole in the subway car. I think in that instance, maybe no bail, just maybe. Oh, we got Frozen Jerry here on Chicago Corner while he's working on restoring his stream. We will see what's coming up in the next story, which is what is coming up in the next story? Ah, yes. Well, I think we're going to wait for Jerry to reboot on this one because it's all about our wonderful mayor and the things that she's doing now that she's running for re-election. So please stand by while we figure out what else I'm going to talk about here on Chicago Corner. I can go in live chat. Here we go. Let's do yes, extra full of Warren. Jerry Frio, he frozen. But Jerry will be back. I know it. Yeah. See, if they found a machete on him, I'm logging off. Well, he didn't need a machete to blow up the car, but you know. Lady said this dude needs to learn to adult. Yes, he does.
I think.
Jerry's back.
I think Lori came after me as I was going to prepare this next story. Is what I think happened.
Yes, Laney properly guessed that we are about to delve into
our beloved big dick swinging Mayor Lightfoot. All right. This is great. I'm glad you found this, Ed. So we all saw Mayor Lightfoot's video. I like to call that her take on the Rahm Emanuel fuzzy sweater video, where everybody knew that Rahm is an asshole, and he decided to do his re-election videos in a fuzzy sweater to try to soften his image, even though he admitted that a lot of people had a tough time with the way that he would his abrasive personality.
That sweater was a gift, Jerry.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. It was totally because of the thing you said.
Yeah. All right.
Gotta go.
So this is great. Now, what is particularly curious to me, and of course, in preparing the show, maybe you can look this up, Ed, because I didn't get it. I was going to research it, and I didn't have a chance to. But it's my understanding that city officials, elected representatives, are not allowed to block constituents from their social media.
Yeah, I think that generally is true. I don't know why they're getting. It may be because this is not her mayoral Twitter account; it's her personal account that she's getting away with it.
Doesn't matter.
So it's like her campaign account. She can block whoever she wants.
I don't think it matters because Rahm had two accounts. A lot of politicians or public officials will retain their personal account. When you're in public service, you can't block your constituents.
Yeah, it is illegal technically to do that.
So CWB Chicago reports that 6 hours after announcing her run for re-election, the mayor is sick of hearing your thoughts on the topic, Chicago. And here's what happened. She made her announcement. Somebody made a comment on her Twitter. In 2019, you put your faith in me when you elected me as mayor of Chicago. Today, I was proud and honored to announce my re-election campaign for Chai Mayor 23. #. I'll never come back down from fighting every day to turn your voice into action. Subsequent to that, get out of here, Lori. People, no, if you don't follow at Lori Lightfoot, you can't reply to her. Mayor Lightweight, Mayor Thin Skin, Mayor Big Dick. Got to be honest, when she said she was working to make Chicago safer, I thought she was trying out material for her next career as a comedian. Who else do you plan to vote for? This will determine if she would be reelected. I mean, in her defense, she is probably still very concerned about all the shootings in Philadelphia. Yeah. So, in honor of, or in tribute to Mayor Lightfoot deciding to block people from commenting on her reelection announcement or her new bid, we have another tweet. This comes to us from Shamrock Shakeweight. In honor of Lori Lightfoot announcing her reelection campaign, they've put together a list of some of her greatest hits from her first term.
Many of which we have covered on this channel.
Yeah, and God bless him for doing that. How about that time Lori reminded us she has the biggest dick in Chicago and that her penis is categorically bigger than every Italian person's?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
How about that time Lori bid us good morning from her mansion in Sauganash to set the record straight that she was not having an affair with a member of her security detail?
Doesn't ring a bell, Jerry.
How about that time Lori lobbied against an elected school board bill she had just spent the previous year campaigning for?
Actually, I remember that one.
Moving on. The time Lori turned herself into a meme to keep people off of the lakefront during season 1 of COVID, despite allowing bars and restaurants to remain open. I love this list, man. And yeah, we have covered all this. I'm not saying that Shamrock Shakeweight watches Chicago Corner, although I hope they do. I'm going to have to add them to the Chicago Corner Twitter. But that time Lori, an attorney, tried to suggest that people being charged with a crime is the same thing as being convicted of a crime and that catching a charge should put you behind bars for life. Now, as I said, I think when it comes to face tattoos with violent criminals in Chicago only, that might be worth considering. But the time Lightfoot banned the sale of alcohol in Chicago after 9 p.m. in order to checks notes to stop the spread of COVID.
Yeah, because that makes all the sense in the world.
This is Lori's greatest hits, man. The time Lori partnered with the Dreadhead Cowboy to encourage Chicagoans to complete the census, then a week later had him arrested and took away his horse for protesting police brutality. Although I do think in that case he should have been arrested because he really hurt that horse.
Well, yeah, you're not really supposed to take your horse out on the expressway.
Right, on concrete. He injured his horse. That's what he did. That was animal negligence.
Yeah, and I'm sure he didn't mean to do it to hurt his horse, but come on, dude.
This is one of Kit's favorites too. The time Lori weaponized the city's bridges to trap protesters downtown and then announced a curfew that took effect retroactively so they could be arrested.
Yeah, that one was mildly irritating to a number of people in the city.
That time, she passed a one-time $12 million fossil fuel subsidy benefiting fewer than 2% of Chicagoans because she's afraid of Willie Wilson.
Yeah, that's actually pretty recent. Didn't get to take advantage of that. And it was a lottery anyway, so you didn't even know if you were going to win the lottery of that, what it was, a gas card, transit card thing.
That time, Chicago teachers went on strike for like 2 weeks because Lori wouldn't agree to staffing ratios for clinicians mandated under state law in a collective bargaining agreement, despite it having been a campaign promise.
Campaign promises? What are those, Jerry?
Those are for people that are running for office that don't intend to fulfill them. That's pandering. The time Lori tried to physically fight Mary DeFino while she was campaigning to retain Judge Tooman in spite of the effort to toss Tooman over his mistreatment of juveniles in the legal system. The time, God, I didn't even go fully through this list. I didn't realize it was as long as Mayor Lightfoot's dick. The time
we got up to the email already.
Yeah.
Jerry has read this out loud in Lori Lightfoot's voice in a previous episode of Chicago Corner. I think he lost his voice for a couple days after that. But it was totally worth it, though.
It was.
Totally.
It was. The time Lori put one of her tantrums in writing and it was leaked to the Tribune.
I need office time every day.
Yeah.
Every day I need office time. I need office time every day, Jerry. Not just Not just every other day, but every day. Because I'm planning, Jerry. I have plans.
And look at how she typed this out, man.
Plans, Jerry.
Caps, repeated sentences. Look at this. It's like a fucking child. This is the mayor of our city. Tantrums. And it was tantrums. This was can you imagine? I can't, being the mayor of the city. And this just speaks to her complete entitlement and absolute lack of self-awareness. How could she not know someone was going to leak this? I guess she's just used to ruling with an iron fist or an iron dick in her case. Oh, yes. That time Lori committed to erecting a statue of Christopher Columbus. Her plan to bring back the statue of indigenous activists, that genocidal maniac Christopher Columbus. The time Lori texted the governor telling him she was considering a mask mandate, only to be informed the entire state of Illinois had been under a mask mandate for over 2 months at that point.
I was talking about these types of masks, Jerry. Superhero masks.
I'm going to pin this whole list to the top of our Chicago corner.
Masks.
Twitter. The time Lori spent over $280 million in COVID relief money from the federal government on a personal costs for police, only to later turn around and divert $150 million in funding for Chicago public schools to patch holes in the city's budget.
Oh, so that's where the whole patching budget went.
The time Lori got caught trying to engage in a cover-up for Chicago police wrongfully executing a search warrant. She's worse than Rahm Emanuel.
Did somebody say cover-up?
You got off light, Rahm. I don't know why she's getting off. Well, she might be behind closed doors with her wife, but her spouse.
I'm in Japan. You can't touch me now, sucker.
That's what you think.
I take responsibility for what happened because it happened on my watch.
I'm firing on all cylinders tonight. No, you're not. Get out of here. Another cover-up. I'm not sure why this hasn't gotten more criticism and attention, but the time she got caught trying to engage in a cover-up for Chicago police wrongfully executing a search warrant and raiding Anjanette Young's home, probably because it did not result in a fatality, is why it isn't as dire, even though it was a cover-up. All right, so I guess that's as far as they go, but yeah, that's quite a record, if you ask me.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. I think there's other stuff that they didn't get to, but we've covered it, a lot of it here on Chicago Corner. The curfew, for example, where you can no longer get any kind of espresso shots or any shots within half a mile of Millennium Park because of the with the bullet curfew. No, wait, that's not a thing, is it?
Yeah, I have to interject here because our good friend Uncle Warren just gave us the absolute perfect transition to the next story. This show is off the rails, and I love it. Speaking of trying to get off the rails.
Yes.
All right, so this is a great story because it's a positive story. It's an inspirational story. And how ironic, Ed, that this story broke this week and this weekend. Because I have an anniversary coming up this Sunday. It's my 36-year anniversary of being late to my own funeral under similar circumstances. But I'll get into that in a moment. I want to applaud this Good Samaritan. This video is harrowing, really harrowing. And this happened in Chicago. Now I'm showing it from the New York Post's website because they have video. See if I can bring this full screen without losing too much of my buffering. All right, here we go, guys. Strap in.
Let's go.
This heroin clip posted to Facebook by Tavi Gee shows 20-year-old Anthony Perry risking 600 volts of electricity to save this guy. The viral footage has made Perry a hero in the Windy City, with Chicago philanthropist Early Walker awarding his bravery with a car.
Okay.
The man who was electrocuted is being treated at University of Chicago Hospital. So this guy, he sees the other guy hit, I guess, got in a confrontation with somebody and hit the third rail, got electrocuted himself, knocked himself out. And then this guy jumped out on the tracks and carefully grabbed him off and dragged him off the rails, gave him CPR to bring him back. So, yeah, he's a hero.
I would like to, excuse me. Oreo's knocking things off my desk. I would like to imagine I could be as brave as this guy was. I would aspire to be this brave. I can't be, because I lost my leg in a subway train-related accident, and I can't move fast enough because I've lost my leg above the knee. Even for able-bodied people who've got their limbs to be able to do what this guy did, it just blows me away. And thank heavens he was in a position to react as quickly as he did to save this man on that third rail. I even know enough about, how do you navigate around that third rail, which is what electrifies and provides power for the trains.
Yeah, you got to be super careful too, because you touch, if that guy has his bare skin touching that third rail, and you touch his bare skin, then you're getting electrocuted too. So maybe this guy knew enough to grab him by like the outer clothing or whatever. So, and I think one of the stories said that he even still was feeling shocks as he was pulling the guy off the tracks.
Yeah.
So,
We'll get
super brave of this guy, and amazing that he was able to resuscitate him. It's one of those stories you should talk about. It's an actual hero story.
When we talk about being vigilant and helping each other and watching out for each other, I'd say that this is the best fucking example. As best you can. I mean, look, we can't sugarcoat it. He risked his life. He was willing to risk his life to save this man on the tracks. And, I'm not going to advocate people jump into situations where they can risk their lives, or maybe if they feel that they can navigate it and safely get out of it, it's a judgment call. But, yeah. Thank you, Alhunt. Thank you. Good on that, dude. Now, cops, take a lesson from this guy. Kathy Powers adds, did CPD arrest him for being on the tracks? Thank you, Hobo Rody. Yeah, it's nice when you get something right. Good show. Thank you. So here's from the article from the New York Post. Anthony Perry was quoted, "I immediately noticed there was a fight because both guys got their dukes up. They were like pulling their stuff down," Perry told the outlet. One of the combatants was waiting for a train when the other spat in his face and punched him, according to police. Both men fell onto the tracks where they continued their slugfest. But when the suspected instigator ended up on the third rail, he was, jolted by 600 volts, went into convulsions and passed out as people whipped out their cell phones to capture the mayhem, CBS 2 reported. The guy didn't have control over his body, said Perry, who selflessly jumped below to save the man's life. "I did hear somebody say as I got on the track, 'Don't touch him,'" he said. "I could have kept walking, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to keep walking because God wouldn't want me to do this, so I took action immediately," Perry told the station. Going on, he said that as he grabbed the man, he felt a violent jolt because remember, the electricity is in that guy's body as he's pulling him. Let's go to that next picture. That's probably where he felt the jolt, even though he was not touching the rail himself. It was strong, like it went through my whole body. I remember after that, my whole body was still kind of shaky, Perry recounted. With the help of another commuter, the heroic Good Samaritan began administering CPR to the man, who eventually regained consciousness. Get some pictures up. The dramatic scene was captured by Tavi Gee, who described it definitely surreal. That was an out-of-body experience, ABC7 reported. When asked by CBS what he thought about risking his life, Perry said, I was kind of like, dang, I did that? That was me? I was kind of surprised that I would take myself to that level, but I'm kind of not surprised because I'm always helping people. That's my instinct.
Yeah, you see people like this. These are the ones you want to recruit to if you're going to be looking for a new crop of police officers or public safety people or whatever you're going to be calling them in the next version of whatever we call public safety in the city. You want people who are going to jump and react for the benefit of others. You don't want people who are going to go, oh, well, I got to make sure I make it home safe at night, and so that I can bully somebody tomorrow. That's not the kind of person you want to recruit.
He added, I was thinking about if that was me in that situation, how would I want people to treat me? I'm just happy that the guy was alive more than anything. I didn't see myself as a hero, to be honest. On Wednesday, he was rewarded for his act with a car. A 2008 Audi A6 given by Windy City businessman Early Walker, who played a little joke at first. The philanthropist handed Perry, whose own car's transmission recently gave out, a gift card for gas.
Yes, I am familiar with that experience.
Walker rolled out the luxury sedan, which will allow Perry to make his 90-minute commute for work. Also on hand were police and members of the community. 90-minute commute for work.
Where does he work? He's commuting 90 minutes. That's a long commute.
Yep.
Especially with the gas prices.
We just wanted to honor you, Walker told the young man, ABC7 reported. We wanted to literally show our appreciation because we need more people like you. We need more Anthonys in the world. Anthony thought of the victim and not necessarily himself in this quick decision to save the victim's life. He said, according to Fox 32, he then took careful instructions to perform CPR and saved a person's life who laid hopelessly on a live track, added Walker, who founded the I'm Telling Don't Shoot organization. The other man involved in the fight fled the scene, as cowards would. Our detectives are on the case, working to identify and get those photos out there and see if anybody can actually know who that particular person is, Police Commander Roderick Watson said, ABC7 reported. The man Perry rescued remains in serious condition at University of Chicago Medical Center, officials said. I want to share something this evening, as I mentioned before reporting that story, regarding my anniversary. And for what it's worth, in honor of all Good Samaritans out there, if the video will load.
Please join us coming up right after.
Take it ahead. Ed, did you know once upon a time I had hair? Or hair?
It was a rumor that I had heard.
You're doing good, Mike. Really good. Okay, what happened here?
Well, in June of '86, I was on my way home from work downtown in the subway when the train I was riding on hit somebody. I didn't see exactly what happened and dragged this person into the tunnel. So the person was run over by the subway train. And I exited the train and walked to the rear of the train to try to help the person that was run over by this subway train. And actually, I got to meet the young man. His name is Jerry. He's right here.
Jerry.
And, Jerry Vasilatos.
Yeah, I hate to ask you,
Ooh,
Stan.
lots of hair too.
Well, I was unconscious. I was drifting in and out of consciousness after being dragged by the train, and I know that Jim got off and kind of administered first aid until the paramedics got there.
So what? But when the train hit him, did the train know that it hit him?
The train knew that it hit him, and actually the train did know that it hit him, and
It was a hit and run accident. The CTA was told to go ahead and keep their schedule.
And the conductor had ran back to the train and as he saw me get off the train, he said to get back on the train. I said, no, I can help you. And
Are you a doctor?
no, I'm not. But I was while I was in the Army, I was trained in first aid, and I administered actually the first question I asked him was whether he was a Catholic, because he was so severely injured. Actually, he was quartered, and had lost his right leg. It was traumatically amputated. It was a very gruesome and awful thing to see. And
Why'd you ask him if he was Catholic?
so that we could start praying. And because at the time it looked like there was no way that this guy was going to make it. The train left us down there, and we waited for what seemed like an eternity until the true heroes of everyday life, the firemen and the paramedics, showed up.
Well, terrific. You did a good thing.
Thank you.
You did a good thing.
The firemen and the paramedics.
Yeah, that man's name is James Manella, and I haven't seen James for a long time. We did stay in touch after I had my accident, and he was very supportive, very helpful. I owe my life to him. And yeah, man, what timing on this story regarding this Good Samaritan we just reported on, and James, who was the Good Samaritan who demonstrated 36 years ago what being vigilant is about. And I just figured I would share that just in tribute to all Good Samaritans, and hopefully as an inspiration to everybody to get involved where you can to help other people. Kathy, did I give him a car? No, I did. That's a whole other story with the personal injury saga.
Yeah, James, if you're out there, get back in touch with us. It'd be nice to do a little follow-up with you and Jerry on Chicago Corner sometime.
I know he's on Facebook. I don't know if he's in Chicago anymore. I tried to stay in touch with him, but unfortunately, as life goes on and years pass, people's lives take them in different directions. But I'm very grateful to James, and I'm grateful to this gentleman who saved the commuter in the story we just reported on.
We had a few comments in the live chat about your youth. Whoa, baby Jerry. One says, "Sexy Jerry."
What? I'm not sexy anymore.
Ilhanar says, "Young man Jerry, look at those baby cheeks." And then, of course, Lainey Peterson brings up that there is a wine called Baby Cheeks.
We'll have to drink a toast to it then sometime, Lainey, that I'm still here to have met all of you and participated. To participate as an esteemed colleague on Heartlands Media's Chicago Corner. All right, so resuming the show into other stories, we're kind of getting to the point where there's some good stuff on the back end here. Warren, God bless you for that. I appreciate that, because as the years are catching up with me, I need that reassurance. Ilhanar, whoa. I was hit by a car when I was a kid. It was a retired deputy who hit me, and he got off because he was a cop. Sadly, not surprised, Ilhanar. Boy, oh boy. All right, let's go into our next story here. This, this doesn't affect me at all because I don't toke, but this is good news for everybody that does, or those who are trying to legitimately and legally provide cannabis for lawful use. Illinois, and this comes to us from
Cranes,
Illinois, to issue long-awaited pot shop licenses. The judge was unwilling to force the state to start over on a process that's already 2 years behind schedule. A federal judge has cleared the way for Illinois to issue licenses for 185 new retail marijuana locations. Judge Rebecca Paul Mayer declined to stop the state from issuing the licenses on a lawsuit filed in March that challenged a provision of the complicated and controversial marijuana law that favored Illinois residents. The state says it will begin issuing the 185 new licenses starting next month. With licenses in the Chicago region, it will begin background checks starting next week, as well as verification that license winners meet other regulatory requirements. Today marks the beginning of the new chapter of the most equitable adult use cannabis program in the country, Governor Pritzker said in a statement. The state said it will also begin issuing low-interest loans designed to help new applicants enter the industry. Because cannabis is federally illegal, dispensary owners aren't able to get traditional bank loans. And we've seen this with, it's funny, once these laws started passing and allowing it in Illinois, All the big businesses with money had no problem getting in on that ground floor with those licenses. Smaller business owners, not so much. And where are those smaller businesses, Ed?
California,
Generally,
I think.
in Illinois, I mean. Where are the smaller, generally in communities of color.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Similar cases, including one filed by one of the plaintiffs in this case, Mark Toigo, succeeded in Missouri and elsewhere. Pallmeyer didn't disagree with their arguments that Illinois rules violate the federal law involving interstate commerce, but she was unwilling to roll a grenade under the door so late in the process of issuing licenses. The state had intended to issue new licenses for pot shops.
Has anybody seen my schedules? I was, I can't seem to find Schedule 1 anywhere.
Hey, man, get with the thing. I got to go talk to Corn Pop and see if I can find that schedule. The state had intended to issue new licenses for pot shops in May of 2020. It finally held lotteries to issue those licenses more than a year later. Lawsuits have kept the licenses in limbo since then. The plaintiffs asked Pallmeyer to issue an injunction preventing the state from issuing those licenses. A key factor in her decision was that neither person who filed suit had actually applied for a license, and there was no way to know whether they would qualify to receive one. Pallmeyer also questioned why they didn't challenge the law until more than 6 months after the lotteries had been held.
See, you don't have standing, though, if you didn't apply, right? So that should have been thrown out like immediately.
Yeah. Yes, Kathy, thank you for the correction. Plaintiffs sat on the sidelines from June of 2019 when the Cannabis Act was enacted until March of 2022, several months into the state court litigation over the department's final administrative decision. Now they beg for the mere opportunity to compete for a dispensary license, all while casually dismissing the immediate harms that an injunction would cause to applicants who've been working hard to secure and are now on the cusp of securing the exact same thing, Pallmeyer wrote. The upshot is that the court has been invited to freeze the ongoing licensing process based on mere speculation that doing so might allow these two plaintiffs, about whom the court knows little, to obtain a seat in a highly competitive lottery, the judge wrote. So the court agrees that the concern for the interplay between the state and federal cases counsels against the disruptive relief that plaintiffs have requested. It is clear that prohibiting the enforcement of these residency-related criteria would eviscerate the results of the three lotteries and frustrate the state court's ongoing effort to order corrective lotteries.
Oh, okay. All right. I think this has to do with a lawsuit where the people applying for some of those licenses were not based in the state or not based in the location in which they would be selling. And so sometimes what often happens is that the things will be either secret or they will be placed behind barriers where people of color or minorities or people who don't have connections are unable to apply for certain things. So, okay, so maybe that's what was holding it up, and then they're deciding to let whoever managed to get through all of those hurdles and red tape and everything just go ahead with their thing. But it sounds like there's still some work to do in equity, in building equity for cannabis sales in Illinois. That's my first take.
Ilhanner shares in the chat, how much you want to bet John Boner, I say Boner, is probably going to profit from this since he's on the board of one of the largest weed companies.
We
Boner,
know about
guy
that.
who helped expand mandatory minimums because he's on the board of one of the largest weed companies. Kathy shares, people can't live on lotteries. Yep.
Well, you know how it is. Members of Congress are against stuff until they're able to actually leave Congress and make money from it.
Why do you think Nancy Pelosi is not against the insider trading reforms?
Oh, in her case, she doesn't even have to leave.
Yep.
So, but we can still talk about how her husband just got another DUI.
But we can't see the booking photo, man.
Yeah, probably need a FOIA for that.
All right, going into some sad local news, we've lost another great institution in the Irving Park Road area, Ed.
Yes, we unfortunately it's a sad day because Golden Nugget. Well, it's not the only Golden Nugget left. I think there's like 3 of them left, but this is the one on Irving Park.
It's another institution, just as much as Dinkles, which we've lost, Chicago Joe's, Southport Lanes. We lost Guthrie's. Thankfully, they made a comeback.
Yeah, the lockdown really hosed a lot of the local institutions, and I'm sure it did it nationwide too. But I mean, if you guys are familiar with just the late night restaurant scene,
Yeah,
in Chicago, I mean, out in the burbs, you had like the 24-hour Denny's, and some of you in other states are familiar with that kind of thing. And I think Waffle House is similar in that regard. In Chicago, at least in a few areas in Chicago, we had the Golden Nugget. And at least I recall it from the late night trips for pancakes and stuff after going out to bars and clubs back in my youth. But some of you may have gone there during the daytime and had actual breakfast at breakfast time. Stopped in for lunch or dinner, and sadly, during those lockdowns, a lot of these restaurants, they had to cut back. They didn't get the type of restaurant traffic they were getting, so they had to start cutting back on employees. They had to start cutting back on hours. I didn't even think Golden Nugget was staying open late anymore.
The article goes into what they were basically impacted by the pandemic. Now, I think that are they affiliated with Gold? We have two golden institutions in Chicago: Golden Nugget and Golden Apple. I think they're so affiliated because the signage kind of looks similar. I don't know if they are or not.
I don't think they're the same.
Okay.
But,
well, I can tell you in response to your musing there, during the days, even when I'm not out looking for food, I would pass by Golden Nugget and just be like, oh my God, I want to get their omelets. They're delicious spinach, feta cheese, and mushroom omelets. And I'll just pull over and get one. Huge serving with some coffee, some black coffee and hash browns and a side of fruit. And the ambiance in these places is great. It's an old time diner, and it's been an institution in Chicago for forever. Right.
Yeah. I think when we get the opportunity, it'd be nice to go and see what kind of late night joints are still around and operating in the city, because I got to imagine there aren't nearly as many as there used to be, just because they just didn't weather the storm of that financial lockdown. It really screwed a lot of local businesses, and it's sad to see this kind of thing happen, because had that lockdown not happened, I would imagine that they would still be going. Okay.
Well, the article,
I don't know how well they would be doing with the supply chain issues and the fuel costs that they have now, but they would probably still be limping along, and maybe still be open late.
It's a lack of manpower or hiring. This comes from Alex Hernandez at Block Club Chicago. And now this is the location at 4229 West Irving. Was once one of the chain's 24-hour spots, long popular with the breakfast and late night crowds. We just completely covered it without reading it. But the hours changed to 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. about 5 years ago.
Oh, there it is.
Hasn't returned to pre-pandemic levels, owner Kathy Guzman said. She also said the restaurant only employed about 5 people and she had trouble finding new workers. Guzman closed the location Sunday and is looking to lease the space to someone else, she said. I will be honest, people aren't eating out like they used to or ordering like they used to. Our sales
can't afford to.
We were still busy there on weekends, but you can't subsist a restaurant on just weekend sales. A sign advertising open positions for servers, a host, and people to take delivery orders was still on one of the restaurant's windows Wednesday. But Guzman said staffers have been moved to other locations. Now, I actually, my bad, the Golden Nugget that I go to is on 1765 Lawrence, and it's still open. When I read this article, for some reason, I was mistaking Irving Park Road for Lawrence Avenue. So my Golden Nugget's still open, thankfully, as this graphic says. So I can still get my delicious spinach, feta, and mushroom omelets. Ed, let's go sometime.
Yeah, for sure. I'm in.
Literally,
we'll bring the whole crew. We'll bring Lainey with us.
That'd be great.
I know she'll want to go. What we'll probably have to do is go. We'll do one of her wine streams, and then we'll take a car over to Golden Nugget. And then shoot some video, which we will heavily edit for a future episode of Chicago Corner.
Oh, it won't be heavily edited. will have the best highlights in it of the stuff you want heavily edited after one of her wine.
We could do outtakes on one of the HLM Patreon shows.
So Guzman says, literally, my heart is in my stomach still. I've worked for Golden Nugget for the past 34 years. I've watched kids grow up. Guzman said, it hurts us to have to close a location. We just hope that customers go to our other locations. That's what we're hoping for. Laney, we're going to go. We'll have to go to the one over that's close to us over on Lawrence. Meredith O'Sullivan said she had been going to Golden Nugget at least once a month for the past 20 years. We still have IHOPs. We would walk in the door and all the waiters and waitresses knew my name, my husband's name, my children's names, our orders. It didn't matter what section we sat in, O'Sullivan said. I'm going to miss them, really miss them. We're heartbroken. The restaurant was a welcoming location for older people eating breakfast, neighbors stopping by for lunch with friends, and people who live in the nearby Irving Park YMCA, neighbors said. When it was still a 24-hour joint, teenagers met up to drink coffee for hours, and bar hoppers grabbed a bite after last call, neighbors said. Danny Sobor, 29, now lives in Michigan, but grew up in the neighborhood and said some of his warmest and funniest memories from high school were with friends hanging out at Golden Nugget. Don't we all have memories like that with our nighttime haunts? Some of my fondest memories of high school are leaving Lollapalooza, taking the Blue Line home, and then a bunch of kids that didn't live in that area would just go to that Golden Nugget at like 2 a.m. or whatever, Sobor said. We'd roll in like 15 deep. Our entire extended friend group would just take over 2 booths. Before Eris Brewery and Cider House opened across the street, owners Michelle Foyk and Katie Pizza often went to the Golden Nugget to meet with contractors or discuss their plans for their business. That was one of the only places we could go in the planning phases because we'd have these huge blueprint documents and needed space to spread out, Pizza said. Foyk said Pizza also took inspiration from Golden Nugget's booths when they were designing their brewery's booths. Pizza joked that her son preferred the breakfast from there. I'm a little dumbfounded. I would have really liked to have said goodbye to some of the people there. They saw my kids grow up. We're really going to miss them.
It's not unnoticed by me that woman's last name is Pizza.
I figured you were going to jump onto that. Golden Nugget Pancake House opened in 1966, my birth year, and has 4 remaining locations at 2406 West Diversey, 3959 West Diversey, 3001 North Central Avenue, and 1765 West Lawrence Avenue. So patronize them as much as you can in the hopes that they stay open as long as they can. The chain's 3234 West Irving Park location closed at the start of the pandemic and didn't reopen, Guzman said. It has been leased out to the House of Wah son, owner Mark Chiang, she said. Chiang said his lease at Wah Sons at 4319 North Lincoln Avenue was not renewed, and he's going to have to move out by the end of the year. He decided to relocate to the former Golden Nugget near Kedzie Avenue. Pretty much everything's ready. We're just waiting on the city's approval to open, Chiang said, but we're still open in Lincoln Square until then. Guzman said she's not looking forward to going back to the recently closed restaurant to start clearing it out. We're going to miss that area. If we had enough employees and people coming in to eat, we would have been okay. But we had to close it because you can't have one store pay for another. He said.
Yeah, you can only do that for so long. It's sad because there's people in the city that would love to be able to go and patronize the local establishments and the restaurants, and everything is just so darn expensive right now. The wages are not keeping up with cost of living, and it makes it harder for people to go out as much as they'd like to. We used to have an economy with, it wasn't the greatest economy, but people, even if they didn't have disposable income, had a lot more available credit than they do today. And it just, it's kind of sad that it affects the local businesses like this. It's like you said, they cut their hours for the last 5 years. They hadn't been open as a 24-hour restaurant, at least in that location, for five years. So
Ilhanner says this is the legacy of capitalism, complete and total deviation for profit. Laney, yeah, they used to have great specials. Now, Kathy Powers, I am noting your comments about the Uptown Tent City fires. I actually had some people reach out to me from that group, and we were going to try to have them on the show last week, and in relation to Crappleman and stuff that's going on there. So that story has not been missed by us. I'm just hoping we can cover it with guests to properly address it as it deserves. And in relation to that, homeless people, tent cities, ill hunter. Best part about my city is how our police shuffle the working homeless around my city. Our mayor still won't do anything about it, but we got no money. But we got money for Amazon and gambling. Yeah. Yep. More live chat. Anyway, I think I kind of brought it up to date. So this particular story is dedicated to both Generation X, which I was talking about with Lainey last night on Uncle Warren's show, and my sister Stacy. And I doubt she's watching, but I'll share the link with her later because my sister Stacy is a huge, huge Prince fanatic. And she, along with everyone else watching this story, will be able to visit the immersive Prince experience that is opening in Chicago. Step into the world of his royal badness and with interactive installations, memorabilia, and photo ops galore. This comes from Time Out Chicago, as reported by Emma Krupp. I still can't believe we lost Prince. I can't believe we've lost a lot of. We were talking last night on Uncle Warren's Extra Bullet broadcast on Gen X. At the end of the show, he asked everybody what their defining song from Generation X was, and it's still my defining song, and that's Under Pressure. And, you know, Freddie Mercury and David Bowie are gone. Prince is gone. I'm just like reflecting on, you know, though the fires that burn brightest are the ones that go out sooner. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here to say that a purple-hued world has opened up on Michigan Avenue thanks to the arrival of a new Prince-themed immersive exhibition inside the sprawling shops at North Bridge Complex.
Oh, it's at North Bridge.
Wow. Developed by the event production company Superfly, Prince, the immersive experience, takes visitors through an approximately 60-minute tour of interactive rooms exploring the iconic musician's life, music, and legacy. You'll first be greeted by a short video, then it's on to the themed rooms made to look like everything from a lilac-scented imitation of the bathroom in the When Doves Cry music video, to a realistic version of Prince's Paisley Park studio, painstakingly recreated with details like a shelf stocked with the 5-hour energy shots Prince kept on hand for recording sessions. And because this is an immersive experience, many of the rooms are equipped with some kind of interactive element, whether you prefer to experiment with sound mixing Let's Go Crazy in the studio, take a personality quiz to get a custom playlist of Prince's deep cuts, or pose for photos atop a replica of the famous Purple Rain motorcycle. The music video nods are cool to see in person, but diehard fans will be pleased to note Prince, the immersive experience, goes beyond uncanny recreations and photo ops. Superfly, which also created the Friends experience and the Office experience, collaborated with Prince's estate to solicit memorabilia, archival footage, and new works from some of the musician's close friends and collaborators. In one memorable room, visitors can dance to music from a live DJ within a trippy kaleidoscopic hall of mirrors and flashing light, custom created for the exhibit by esteemed production designer Leroy Bennett. Meanwhile, comprehensive exhibits on the musician's early years in Minneapolis shed light on how his hometown influenced his work and resistance to the pressures of superstardom, a theme later touched on in rooms that focus on Prince's activism for artists' rights. Finally, if you're itching for some Prince-themed swag, of course, and who isn't, a gift shop near the exhibit's entrance offers t-shirts, sweatpants, records, and plenty of other purple merchandise, plus limited edition picks like Third Eye sunglasses from the glasses company Coco and Breezy. Ready to step into the world of Purple Rain in Paisley Park, Prince the Immersive Experience, located at the shops of North Bridge at 540 North Michigan Avenue, is currently set to run through October 9th. Tickets start at $39.50 for general admission, and VIP options are available for $54.50 to $65. You can look through some of the exhibition's highlights below. How about that? There's that immersive room recreating the music video set. Wow. How about this? Some of Prince's wardrobe. Here's that interactive, you can mix one of his songs. This is awesome. I love this. My sister's going to love it
Pretty
too.
cool.
I'm going to see if I can maybe go down there with her. Stacy, if you weren't watching the show live, look what you missed. Very cool. So yeah, I thought, Ed, you brought that to my attention. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was something nice to throw in at the end of the show.
Along with Blues Fest, which is starting tonight and going on through the weekend. And our
Or
final...
started last night, actually, but yeah, it's going through Sunday.
Cool. Yeah, Miguel, aren't we all? Dearly beloved, we're here today to get through this thing called life. Speaking of that, here's our final feel-good story of the night, related to some people helping others get through this thing called life. From Madison Saavedra at Block Club Chicago, there is a free food pantry designed like a grocery store, unveiled in Little Village. Hope has a new address. Groceries and services will be available Tuesday through Saturday to the Little Village and surrounding communities when the new Life Center's Pan de Vida Fresh Market opens next week. A fresh market from the New Life Centers dedicated to distributing free groceries in Little Village, Lawndale, and the surrounding communities will soon be open to the public. The Pan de Vida Fresh Market is opening at 2701 South Lawndale Avenue, just across the street from New Life Center's existing building, in partnership with the Greater Chicago Food Depository, who we're big fans of. The center will provide fresh produce, pantry staples, and more to neighbors Tuesday through Saturday beginning next week. The market, an extension of New Life Center's existing Pan de Vida food pantry, is arranged like a traditional grocery store with aisles and fridges so people can choose what they want. The first floor of the building houses the groceries and walk-in fridges, and the second will serve as a community resource center where people can use computers, hold meetings, and get information on New Life resources.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. The inside of Pan de Vida Fresh Market at 2701 South Lawndale, where neighbors can get groceries 5 days a week. Building the Pan de Vida hub was a years-long process. Executive Director Matt DiMatteo said during Thursday's grand opening. Since the pandemic, the group's food pantry have been able to reach 2.2 million people through walk-in services and home delivery, DiMatteo said. Hope has a new address. DiMatteo said, today is about celebrating the strength, resiliency, and hope of community. Today is about remembering all that we've come through, Good Samaritanism, and looking forward toward a hopeful future. Today is about seeing what can happen when we stop working for our own name and glory, but come together for the good of our city. DiMatteo said young people in the neighborhood played an important role in supporting Pan de Vida for rising to the challenge and leading with love in this pandemic. Diana Franco, the administrative coordinator at Pan de Vida, said she's seen throughout the pandemic the impact free groceries have had on families facing economic hardship. We are able to give hope with the boxes of food we offer, Franco said. Sometimes we even get to reach beyond just the food. We get to speak to people who haven't come in contact with people. We get to give resources to moms who need help. We get to give someone an ear to listen. Resident Margarita Marquez said she's been able to get groceries delivered to her home through Pan de Vida during the pandemic, so she hasn't had to leave her kids at home alone while she's shopping or bring them to the store and potentially expose them to COVID-19. I continue to benefit from the food pantry as prices have gone up, and I can use my money on other essential things like rent and bills and family things, Marquez said. So there's the mayor. I guess she gave some remarks at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Mayor Lori Lightfoot praised the asset to the neighborhood, saying it is a community-driven solution because, there aren't any civic ones that she can provide. Any challenges that we have in our city, whether it's public safety, whether it's food insecurity, we have come into community with a humble heart and a listening ear, and ask the questions that the community wants. What do you see from your perspective, and how can we help? Or how can we help get out of the way?
How can we get out of the way, she asked.
Yeah, bitch.
Yeah. I can think of a guy who could give her some ideas on how she could get out of the way.
Yeah, perhaps she'll be listening this Tuesday. The building is adorned with a sprawling mural from local artist Sam Kirk depicting unity in the community. So yeah, there it is. Stronger together. I don't think that's Mayor Lightfoot. I hope to Christ it's not Mayor Lightfoot.
It's not.
It's not. All right. So as our esteemed colleague Kit Cabello likes to say, there you have it. As we come to the end of this Friday night's edition of Chicago Corner. Ed, anything you like to share with the live? Or let's go to live chat real quick and see if there's any.
Let's do that.
Love that community spirit. Yeah. Alderman Rodriguez is a really nice guy. He's the bald guy. Kathy Powers, don't let the door hit you on the ass for sure. What? What, Laney? What did I miss? Oh, there you have it. And there you have it. Is that what you're relating to, Laney?
With that being said,
yeah.
Drink.
Yeah. I had a new drop-in. I didn't have anywhere to put it tonight, but I'll just share it with all of you. Actually, this is a drop-in I forgot to use for... Actually, this will please Kathy.
Large March, no!
Yeah, well, you're my highly esteemed colleague too, Laney. You're all my highly esteemed colleagues. You should know that, Laney. All right. So, yeah, that's the end of our show. Kit was unavailable to join us tonight. He had some family matters to attend to, which I'm sure will work out fine. I think he has some guests in town. And as always, Ed, I'm very, very appreciative that you could co-host and contribute as you do. Not only to the live stream, but in helping curate some of the stories pre-show that you share with me in the Slack. Some of them I've seen and actually have on my story list, but then you're able to find some extras that I haven't seen, and it adds a lot of layering to the show. So thank you, man. You're an important asset to Chicago Corner.
Yeah, I'm glad to help. It's nice to be able to contribute in a way that I think I can make the show better. And when I'm able to go to sift through the swath of information out there and find some stories or some updates, it's nice to be able to share that with you guys on Chicago Corner.
We all appreciate it. Any big plans this weekend? Are you going to Blues Fest?
It's a good question. We got 2 more days of Blues Fest, so I'm either going to make an effort to get out there either tomorrow night or Sunday afternoon, and at the very least, if I can't make it out there in person, I know that the Chicago D-Case channel on YouTube has the live streams, at least from one of the stages, and I highly recommend checking that out because it's a nice example of the Chicago blues culture that you get to hear, like not just the new stuff but some of the old stuff, and you get to hear like blues radio guy Tom Marker is usually there at the beginning to give you a little background on some of the people that they're honoring, and it's nice to hear some classic Chicago blues. We got looks like Warren's got an extra bowl of secret show coming up at 11 p.m. Central Time, because we don't do Eastern here in Chicago. That's some weird East Coast stuff that we don't do because...
You're not to approve of your methods.
Yeah? Well, you're not from Chicago.
Oh, I love my little video drop-ins. And you know what? When I was on Warren's show last night with Laney, I didn't realize. I mean, I guess I kind of did. I remember Warren was using drop-ins on another show I did. It's always cool when you can find little video drop-ins to season the program. You know, I kind of got inspired to do that, not from video, not from watching YouTube shows, but from listening to radio. here in Chicago when I was younger. I'd listen to Steve Dahl and Gary Meyer, pioneers in Chicago talk radio, who a lot of people would argue that Howard Stern stole his shtick from. But they would always pepper their broadcasts with audio drop-ins, and they'd start their show with audio drop-ins, whether it was movies or civic leaders talking. And so I've kind of been inspired to take that to a little bit more of a level with the video drop-ins that I have here of our elected representatives and our celebrity movie idols and stuff like that, or punctuate things with.
Yeah, it's nice to throw those in just for a little bit of color there. Oh, he's got one I haven't seen before.
Hi, I'm Criswell. I know all.
By the way, Kathy's been remarking through the chat. I think that there's a protest at Lightweight's house tomorrow.
Is there an action happening?
Let me scroll through the chat because that's something we do want to share, and I didn't see it earlier.
Is there some activism happening, Kathy?
There's a lot of chat to scroll through to get to it. Let's see. Did she add it? Kathy, I'm scrolling back. Can you type in the chat what the action is? Because I can't. There's so much chat tonight, I can't find it.
Let me.
Kathy, chat. We'll wait a second before we adjourn to see if Kathy can share what that action is tomorrow. We're waiting on you, Kathy. The pressure's on. What's happening at Mayor Lightweight's house tomorrow? I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's happening tomorrow so I can prepare for it. So I can add two more shifts of Chicago police officers along with my private security detail that I already have protecting my house, despite the fact that I should be able to defend myself because I've got the biggest dick in Chicago. All right, let's go back to the comments. Is it there? Lori is not honoring the Obama community agreement. Oh, is this down in South Shore, the monument that they're erecting to him on in Jackson Park?
Which community agreement is that?
Yeah, which community agreement hasn't she violated? All right, I'm scrolling back. I'm going to hope to find what she's talking about.
Yeah, I think there was one story. Let's see if I have it here. The Whitney Young Sports Complex opened up. It was supposed to be for the public, and they have made it not much for the public, and they named that after Michelle Obama. They called the Michelle Obama Sports Complex. Supposed to be a facility for everybody, but they keep locking the gates on the thing, making it hard, or charging you for renting the courts and that kind of stuff.
Kathy, how about if I send you the video? You can just run it over and over and over again to your heart's content. She really loves that. She loves this. I get
a clip and just put it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, my dear. But I'm still trying to find what the action is tomorrow. Let me scroll down and see if you added it. Okay, yeah, it's about gentrifying the neighborhood. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Kathy. Woodlawn, Stop Jackson Park, Jeanette Taylor et al. Okay, that's what it's about tomorrow. All right, and with that being said, I am going to close tonight's broadcast. Ed, thanks again for joining. Always a pleasure to have you. And to everybody else out there this evening that's joined us, I want to thank you for joining the live stream and participating in the live chat. You are a big part of our show. And as we go into this weekend, please make sure that you are careful, safe, watching out for each other, being vigilant, as the Good Samaritans we've highlighted on tonight's broadcast have demonstrated to inspire us all. And remember, if it's happening on the sheets, if it's happening in the sheets, that's what she said. No, if it's happening on the streets, you will hear about it here on Chicago Corner. Stay safe, everybody. Safe weekend, and peace out.